ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Knight here again with another Rise of the Witch King commentary. This game was recorded on version 2.02, 3.0.1, so it's an older version of 2.02, not the current one, which is 4.0. But this looks like a really interesting game. The two players here, this is Fords of Eisen 2, as you can tell, in 1 versus 1. We have the Fallen Refuge as goblins, and we have Empire of State as elves. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. 1 versus 1 games are always fun to cast because you get to pay attention to a lot of the little details that are going on because there's only 2 players. We have a barracks start for the elven player. We have, of course, a goblin cave that's built right beside this tunnel here. Actually, this tunnel is kind of facing right into the cave. How easy is it for the goblins to actually get inside? I think it's still pretty doable, though. It just looks a bit weird. Okay, well, so far, everything's going normally. Goblin player preparing his goblins. And let's just see here. And now we have Lorien warriors being built. Malorn trees placed around the fortress, everything normal. And as you saw there from the powers, we have cave bats for the goblin player who has not scouted. So I don't know if this was one of those games where everybody picked random. If that's the case, the goblin player has no idea what he's up against right now. And the elven player went for rallying call, which is pretty standard. The elves do have a scouting power, Farsight, but it's not picked as often because rallying call is just so valuable. Cave bats, in addition of being useful for scouting, is useful for debuffing enemy units. So it has 2 uses, so you can kind of justify getting it first more easily. Not to say that you should never pick Farsight, it's just not the most common choice. And here the goblins decided to fight these Lorien warriors. This is not a very good idea. The Lorien warriors are clearly stronger. They did do quite a bit of damage, though, especially with their poison blades. But ultimately, the warriors are victorious. So the first goblin attack just failed. Didn't do anything. And here we have the goblins trying to go around to attack the elven player from the northeastern part of the map. And now trying to stop these Lorien warriors, perhaps, from destroying any of his tunnels. If we go back here, you can see that the goblin player is now working on his 3rd goblin cave. So, of course, he's going to want to outspam his elven opponent because the elves just have stronger units. They're a good faction, as opposed to the spam faction, which is the goblins. We have another battalion of Lorien warriors, and this goblin's obviously dead. And there's a couple of goblins here with some goblin archers, but they're just standing there. Let's just take a look at what's going on over here. These goblins are successfully bringing down this Malorn tree. It doesn't look like the elven player has anything. But he is getting lancers. He is getting cavalry. Very good strategy because, of course, the goblins don't really have much in the way of pikemen. All they really have are the half-troll marauders, which he's not going to be able to build yet. And on top of that, the half-troll marauders cannot be trampled. So they're not as effective at protecting troops as other types of pikemen. These goblins are just kind of standing here now. It looks like the Lorien warriors are going after them. Perhaps goblins was distracted taking down this Malorn tree with these goblins. And now he's moving in from this side. These goblins are going to quickly try to bring down this Malorn tree, but they are under attack. The lancers are out. And this is bad news for the goblins, especially for those archers, which are significantly more expensive than the goblin warriors. They're still pretty cheap archers, but, I mean, they're about 250 resources. And they certainly have no chance against the lancers. Now, I don't think I see any forward tunnels, but it could be that they're just not showing up on the map. There's certainly nothing close to the elven player. So right now the goblins are reliant on moving on foot. They don't have a big distance to travel, so it's certainly doable. But if you can set up some tunnels, you can really keep the pressure up on the opposing player. Now it looks like Lorien archers are here. They're going to make it much easier for the elven player to bring down the goblins, but the warriors are desperately outnumbered right now. We see here appropriate use of stances. Of course, aggressive stance by the Lorien archers because they're not under threat of being attacked right now. And for some reason, the Lorien warriors were in aggressive stance. They really should have been in defensive stance. They only died faster by being in aggressive. And really, their function was more to protect the archers than it was to actually just kill the enemy army. We have Mythlon sentries. Evidently, the Elven player is concerned that Spider Riders are coming out, and sure enough, Spider Riders are on their way. That was a good timing by the Elven player. Although the problem with the sentries is that the Goblin player is still going to be he's still going to spam a lot of goblins, and the goblins are swordsmen. So that's kind of a problem, but he does need to protect the rest of his units eventually. Now you can see Tainted Land was purchased by the Goblin player, and the Elven player went for heal. So those are the powers right now. Goblins decided to retreat. They just have some Goblin archers. There are no warriors right now. A number of Goblin warriors being built. It looks like Goblins has hit his command point limit. Yes, 387 out of 400. He's going to want to build more tunnels to expand that limit and improve his economy. You can see here, Elves has 550. Where did he build? Is he building Malorn trees somewhere around here? He definitely has a bigger limit. Or did Goblins just not build that many? Well, in any case, there's another battle going on, but these Lorien warriors are outnumbered. They're not going to be able to do much. However, backup is coming, and there are at least, I think, 3 battalions of Lancers. Extremely effective. This is going to cause a lot of problems for Goblins. Now, one way to counter cavalry when you're Goblins is to just have a huge number of Goblins. If you massively outnumber the cavalry, then the cavalry will probably get stuck, and then you can kill them when they slow down. But in this case, the Elven player correctly anticipated this and decided to get a couple of extra cavalry units. We have 3 of them, and that makes them a lot more dangerous to the Goblins. However, the Goblins also have Spider Riders, which are very powerful, but they're also outnumbered. Now the Lancers are going to finish the job here, and it looks like this Malorn tree actually survived. However, here we go. We have a forward tunnel, and you saw how effective that was. The Goblin player immediately got his units out, and now he can finish off this Malorn tree. Those cavalry had to retreat. These sentries are trying to creep to take out this Warg lair, but they're going to be in trouble. Just quickly checking the power situation again. I got 600 limit for elves, 625 now for goblins. So goblins has been expanding that. And of course, the limit also expands over time as your his tunnels actually upgrade their level. And how many of these do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Lancers. 5 Lancers. That is a lot of Lancers. I wonder if we're going to see a hero like Glorfindel. He can go pretty well with the Lancers. Of course, the Elven player will need enough resources to actually summon him. He's pretty expensive. Well, there are obviously much more expensive heroes, but even so, this early in the game, you really need to spend all your resources just making sure you have enough units around. And now, a lot of Spider Riders. That's interesting. So the Elven player decided to retreat here. He is outnumbering Goblins significantly, but if he stops to attack the Spider Riders, then he's not trampling the Goblins. If he's trampling the Goblins, the Spider Riders can attack, so not the best kind of situation here. Sentries showed up, but the Spider Riders went around and killed the Builder. The Elven player has lost the Builder. Now he's stuck here. He can't go anywhere. He's completely surrounded. He's going to lose these troops. But he's got a lot of units. Still mostly Lancers, though. But he's sending some back up here. Unfortunately, no pikes. So those Spider Riders just trampled everything. Did not go very well. Now, it looks like the Lancers are pursuing the Spider Riders, trying to take them out because they're starting to cause problems for Elves. But it's kind of a bad situation to be in, because if you build so many pikemen, then Goblins are going to shred them. But if he builds swordsmen and archers instead, then, well, the Spider Riders will trample them. He could try to use his lancers to intercept Spider Riders, which he's tried to do so far. But ultimately, that might not stop them if they want to trample his infantry. It looks like Goblins has decided to sit back at his base for a second. And now he's moving his units. He's going into the tunnel. He's probably going to take them out here again. Yes, because elves showed up, killing more Spider Riders. But now the Goblins have backup. And I think that's summon Spiderlings. Very effective use of summon Spiderlings. These are very effective against cavalry. They're very dangerous. I'm pretty sure they're a lot stronger in 2.02 than they are in 2.01. At least that's the impression I always got. So with the Spider Riders plus these Spiderlings, it could actually cause a lot of problems for elves. And it looks like he decided to retreat. Kind of lick his wounds, make sure that he stays alive. I don't know why they're in aggressive stance. That's just pointless when you're running away. They'll just die faster. You might as well go in battle stance. You don't want to go in defensive stance because cavalry actually slow down in defensive stance. So it'll take them longer to get away and they could possibly be caught by the Spider Riders. Well, I would have to test it to know if they would actually be caught, but it would be quite possible. Malantry is deleted to save half the cost. It cost 300 to build it, and 150 resources were returned. It looks like elves didn't decide to delete this one though. And now we have more goblins. See, this is the kind of situation that I was talking about. If you have a bunch of goblins and the lancers had stopped to fight the Spider Riders, then the goblins could attack them and do quite a bit of damage. But it looks like that kind of didn't happen. The lancers were mostly moved away. These ones trampled a few goblins, and now it looked like they were pursuing those Spider Riders, but they decided against it, instead killing the remainder of these goblins. These Spider Riders are going to try to escape because there's only 3 of them. They're not level 2, so they can't actually rebuild their units. Malantry actually built right in the center here. It's an easy target, Malantry, but right now, Elves has an advantage. You can see here his sentries are destroying this tunnel. Obviously, he can't get the Spider Riders out to attack the sentries. That would be a bad position for them to be in. He is risking it with these riders, though, by using the bows, but he needs to retreat them, which he's now doing. We have Shelob on the field. Shelob could also help with dealing with these Lancers, but there are a lot of Lancers. And Shelob decided to actually go after this Malantry, and these sentries are attacking Shelob. There's only 3 of them, so they're not particularly dangerous, but they can still do quite a bit of damage over time. And Shelob decided to run away rather than be chased by these Lancers. We do have 2 barracks. It looks like Mirkwood Archers are being produced. We already have some Mirkwood Archers, actually, which again is going to make it a lot easier for the Elven player to counter these enemies. If you can protect them with pikemen, they're going to be very potent. And here we see the Tainted Land in use, and the Lancers are going to attempt to fight here. They do massively outnumber the enemies, but they're going to get flanked by these goblins. So what are the Lancers going to do now? And it looks like Shelob's Instill Terror ability was used to kind of break up this fight a bit. And you can see the Lancers reacted with fear there. Looks like the Elven player is trying to decide exactly what he's going to do. It looks like he's going to retreat. He was going that way, but now he's heading back to his base. He doesn't seem to be certain what to do. He keeps stopping his Lancers and turning them around. And these Mirkwood Archers are going to have to stay behind those pikemen. But he can't let his pikemen move ahead like that, because otherwise it is possible to micro them Spider Riders around. But it looks like Goblins decided to retreat instead. And Shelob's still retreating with these Spider Riders. This Warglare is down. Of course, this Warglare is down as well. Now, it doesn't look like anyone went for the inns yet. And the trolls are still safely there. And Goblins nearly has 15 power points. I'm just going to leave it on this to see what he picks. And he's picked the Watcher. So you can certainly use that to kill an entire army. Maybe these guys here. It sounded like... Or kill these guys, actually, because all his Lancers were here. This is a bad situation for elves right now. The Watcher is very destructive. It's not around for very long, and it can't be moved around or anything, but wherever it's summoned, it just destroys everything. And this was a very good move by Goblins. He really needed to take out as many of these Lancers as possible. This is going to hurt the Elven player a bit. It looks like he can retreat his Lancers, though. I don't even know if an entire battalion was killed. He might have just lost a lot of units from each battalion, which means he could actually restore all of them if he keeps them near his Mirror of Galadriel, or he may have lost some battalions entirely. But either way, it's possible for elves to recover without too much of a cost. And these Mirkwood archers, see, that's why you have to be careful. Those sentries are there to protect the archers. The archers are the real damage dealers here. But because the sentries were not on top of them, the Spider Riders were successfully microed on top of those archers to destroy them. And those archers are very expensive. I mean, they're some of the best archers in the game. They're going to be expensive. And look at this, 15 power points for the Elven player, who, by the way, has the Elven Wood as well. Who, of course, he's used it there. We have half-troll Marauders. Good counters to the Lancers. If those Lancers come back, these Mirkwood archers... Yeah, they were not going to do anything. They wouldn't really be able to retreat either because the Spider Riders would just chase them down. And we have the Summon Eagles. Another weakness right now for Goblins, he really doesn't have much in the way of archers. And even Goblin archers, they're not that strong. And it doesn't look like he has any of them. The Spider Rider showed up here. But this is a bad situation for Goblins. He's outnumbered. They're trying to retreat quickly. We have not seen Summon Eagles being used yet. I kind of just want to stay on the Elven player to see when this actually gets used. He's got 2,800 resources, though. He's saving up for something. Assuming, of course, he didn't just forget to spend them. And now the Eagles are down. And look at that. Already doing a lot of damage. It looks like they're targeting... Were they targeting the half-trolls? They seem to be running ahead now. So I guess he's targeting the buildings now. Yes, he's trying to take out these caves. And as you can see, they're pretty vulnerable. Even this... the arrows from the fortress. Look how much damage they're doing. The Eagles are just easily murdered by that. The Spider Riders are trying to shoot them. And it looks like they will succeed. With the help of the fortress, the Spider Riders had enough firepower to bring down the Eagles. And so we have a new cave being built, and this one is going to repair itself eventually. Now, why do we have 4,000 resources for elves? What's he doing? I don't even know what he could possibly be saving up for, unless he wants to build a new fortress or something. Which wouldn't really be very wise. And the Lancer is trying to do more damage. I don't know if it really makes sense to have all of the Lancers harassing the same building. And it looks like the half-trolls showed up. Only one unit, but I think the Elven player didn't notice them, or else just decided that it's worth killing them because he outnumbers them. But obviously he lost a lot of Lancers trying that, and now we have more half-trolls. This is good use of the half-trolls. And this is a problem with when facing dwarves and goblins, because they have the mine and tunnel networks, which let them just surprise you with pikemen. So whenever you're attacking with cavalry, be very careful of that. So you really have to be watching them all the time, and it looks like they're going to take out these goblins. There's not much they're going to do against the Lancers. And we have more Mirkwood archers. And the sentries again running ahead. This is always a bit risky. Although, of course, it would be very difficult to get Spider Riders behind here. Unless the Goblin player went all the way around. And now, again, more half-trolls. So obviously Goblins is sick of dealing with these Lancers. 15 power points again. He might be saving up for 25. And 12 power points here. And keep in mind he has two, yeah, so we have 4 powers each for each player. And I think that was Shelob who got killed. She tried to use the Instill Fear ability, but it just did not do much. Spider Riders trying to get out of there. They're outnumbered. And here they're being chased by the Lancers, who decided against it in the end. And now these sentries trying to protect those Mirkwood Archers. Now they're moving ahead. And that group of Spider Riders is down. And these Spider Riders are going to die too. There isn't really much point keeping them at the forefront. They're not going to do enough damage and they're just going to die. Now this is looking really bad for Goblins right now. Look how many Mirkwood Archers there are. And he does not have, I can only see 3 Spider Riders. Maybe he has, he's got more summoned Spiderlings down here, doing a bit of damage. But he does not have enough cavalry right now. He does have Warkill. And we saw Azog earlier as well, I believe. I don't know where he went. And I think, did he just build this Spider Rider unit? He might have. And, oh, we have Silverthorn arrows. Oh, this is really bad. This is really bad. And, again, the Elven player forgets his sentries up ahead. Not that it really mattered in this case, because upgraded Mirkwood Archers are extremely deadly. And there's only 1 unit of Spider Riders. That just wasn't enough. Gorkill in massive trouble. Oh, is he going to actually get out of here? That was extremely close. Extremely close. But he's going to be out of action for a while. He does not want to move forward right now. Again, this is looking really bad for Goblins. Look at the damage being done. More Spider Riders were built. But again, they're not in a position to do a whole lot. He can try to micro them to surprise these Mirkwood Archers if the Mirkwood Archers don't notice. But chances are they would notice and these guys would die. So it looks like instead Goblins got them out of here. Now, the pikemen, or I was going to say they're basically dead, but it looks like there's another unit here. And Elves is preparing more forces, but they're back at his base. Gorkill seems to be back here, still trying to do some damage to the Elven economy. And here we have Spiderlings. But again, they're up against Mirkwood Archers. Now, these Archers can't do a whole lot of damage to these buildings, even upgraded. They are very good at killing units, though. So for now, it looks like Elves is going to stay here to try to prevent Goblins from regaining control over this portion of the map. Now we have more sentries coming and a couple of more archers. So he's building his fortress again. Shelob. I think she was just rebuilt and she had to get out of there immediately. So this is one of those situations where, you know, the Goblin player really has to think about how he can turn the game around. Right now, these Mirkwood Archers are slowly damaging his fortress, but he does have, Goblins that is, does have a lot of time to decide what to do next. And it looks like he put a lot of units in his tunnel network. I wonder if he's going to try some kind of surprise attack on the Elven base, perhaps. And all these units left. It looks like I think the X key was pressed there to make them all move away from the central area. And the Cave Bats was used, but I mean, that was kind of pointless. I mean, it does debuff the archers, but then the archers can just shoot the Cave Bats, as you see there. So that didn't help a lot. And oh, excellent. So during all that time, Goblin's got his Watcher back. And he's bought himself some time. We have the dragon. The summoned dragon was used. Oh, this is interesting. This might be one of those situations where the high-level powers can turn the game around. Look at this. This dragon's going to do a lot of damage. Now, where is it going to go? Is it going to go to attack the Elven base? It could use the reposition ability. It seems to be going on foot. He's just murdering these pikemen. And the Malinfantry as well. Over there, not really anything going on. Now let's see how much damage he can do. This is a very interesting turnaround. The Elven player took too long. He got really comfortable standing in one spot. It might have been wise to split up his units or something so that when the Watcher was summoned, at least he has some units left. I mean, ultimately, you're not going to be able to protect them when the Watcher's suddenly summoned on top of you. But if you have your entire army in one place and they're all expensive units, it's a problem. Look how much damage Goblins did. He might actually finish. No. No, yes, he did. He did. He finished the barracks. Wow. Oh, that is bad for Elves. And he's lost, of course, his Region Forge as well, which is where he can get his upgrades. And now, this is one of those bugs where you can't click on it. You have to actually do this, basically. Like select it with selection box, dragging and holding the mouse. And we have 2 Elven barracks all the way up here. But that's really what he has right now. He has 2 mirrors of Galadriel. That's interesting. I guess it gives him a slightly wider healing radius. I don't know why you'd place them right beside each other like that. It's kind of strange. Mirkwood Archers retreating back to the base. I guess Elves is going to have to play defense for a bit, but Spider Riders are on their way and he has no pikes. Yeah, you want to get out of there. But those Spider Riders, they're going to catch the Archers. And there you go. And it looks like he decided to retreat them because the fortress was really doing a lot of damage. So these units still alive. Eagles used. Very good use of Eagles. So let's quickly check. He's got 28, so he can get a 25-point power. He has not selected one yet. Looks like Shelob is being targeted by these Eagles. But she's going to make it back to the base safely. Now, what are the Eagles going to do next? They're just going to destroy these half-trolls. So again, right now, it's the powers that are really making the difference in this game. Well, first, Goblins used powers effectively. Now, Elves is using powers effectively. We have the Ents that were summoned. So, we did not see the 25-point power. Instead, the Elven player decided to try Ents to try to destroy this fortress. However, Spiderlings were summoned, and they're going to do a huge amount of damage to these Ents. One Ent's already down. One Ent left. Can he finish the job? How many boulders does it take? Yes, he did. He finished the job. In his last act, the Ent killed that fortress. The fortress has been destroyed. So, the Elven player lost a whole bunch of unit production buildings. But the Goblin player lost his fortress. Now, where are his builders, I wonder? I hope he has builders. That would be a problem. Yes, of course he does. He's got a builder down here. But in the meantime, he's going to attempt an attack. He's relying on the Spider Riders, but these sentries are going to be a problem. Elrond is on the field. Once he levels up, he's going to be a huge threat if he manages to do so. We have the summoned Spiderlings in use. There's lots of cavalry being used right now by Goblins, who does not have his powers anymore until he rebuilds his fortress. I certainly hope he does rebuild his fortress. It'll make the game even more interesting. And yes, he is. It's at 10% right now. It's going to take a while for it to be rebuilt, so he still has no powers for a while. In the meantime, he might be able to do some damage to the Elven base. Elves is reliant on these infantry units, which are much slower than his Spider Riders. If he micros them correctly, he can do a lot. There's still a Malorn back here, one up here. A couple of barracks, including a level 2 one. I don't know. Well, it could be worth attempting to attack the barracks, but he has to make sure that these units can't retreat to the base to stop that. Right now, these half-trolls are trying to take them out. Half-trolls are very strong, of course, and oh, Elrond. He is in defensive stance, but really he should be retreating. He can use his Athlas ability to prolong his life a bit. He is retreating. Heroes also slow down in defensive stance, but not a lot. And there you go, he's used his Athlas ability. Healing nearby friendly units. I thought this used to... I guess this was changed in 2.02 so that it actually heals everything. I remember it just being heroes. I might just be thinking of 2.01. And this Malorn tree is being built. The Elven player trying to recover his economy. Let's actually check their economies. So Goblin's still working on his fortress. Glorfindel is out. He's got some resources here. 1,100, and Elves only has about 800. And again, the Spider Riders are moving back. Elves is attempting to move forward here. This Warglare is still around. Maybe not for long. It looks like he stopped sentries there. Or not. Oh! Bad situation. And those Spider Riders are gone. That was a bad mistake there by Goblins. And the Builder. The fortress is up, by the way. It looks like he's building expansions to it. But the Builder is in trouble. He's dead. The Builder is dead. Does Goblins have... Yes, he still has another Builder. You might want to build another one as well. Just make sure you have 2 builders. I think that was Darkness. Darkness was used. Now all the Goblin units are going to be stronger. And oh, careful there. He did manage to micro them away. But the Mirkwood Archers noticed. Shelob using her Fear ability. Now is the opportunity for the Spider Riders to get these Mirkwood Archers. And well done there, but he's going to have to get out of there. And look, even the Mirkwood Archers doing a lot of damage, but the Spider Riders were stopped. They didn't keep running away, so they were killed. Well, that's a bad situation. They are expensive after all. I think that was the Elven Mist ability. Sounded like it. Yes, the Enshrouding Mist. So, Elrond and Glorfindel leading the charge here. Elrond has leadership now because he's level 3, which is why you can see the yellow effects on these units. So they're now a lot stronger. Cave Bats was used to weaken them, though. Although the effects of leadership still linger. And now Goblins is trying to stop this. What is Shelob doing? What is Shelob doing? What is she doing? Yeah, you don't exactly run into pikes with Shelob. That's never going to go well. But it looks like she was successfully retreated here. Gorkill also moving back. He did take a beating. He's level 6, has his Poison Stinger. Of course, he also has leadership, by the way, at level 4. But at level 10, he gets Call from the Deep, and that is a really fun ability. He's not a very expensive hero. If you can get him to level 10, he really is good value for your money. And I think that was used right now, the Poison Stinger. I'm not exactly sure what he used it on. There's so much going on. I think it might have been Glorfindel who now died by the looks of it. And Gorkill also was killed. But Glorfindel was brought down. Right now, Goblins is winning here. And the game seems to be over? Really? The game is over? Did I miss something? It didn't really feel like the game was finished for one player. That's interesting. Well, okay. So, at the end of the day, that was a very interesting game. A lot of things happened. A lot of good use of powers. It was back and forth for a while. That was nice how the Goblin Fortress went down. It was so close. It almost survived, but not quite. And there was a good, just good use of Goblins turning the game around when he used that Watcher on the Elven army. It was a very fun game to watch. It is a fun game to watch. Yeah, remember this is on 2.02 version 3.0.1, so it is an old version of 2.02. You have to basically open the launcher and go into the replay compatibility mode to actually see that. But yeah, this was it was an interesting game. It was an interesting game. It just seemed to end really suddenly at the end. They're kind of weird. But yeah, it was a fun game to watch, and I'll be doing more of these, guys. I'm doing this for GameReplays.org. Make sure you go on GameReplays.org. In the Rise of the Witch King section, we have lots of content there that's related to Rise of the Witch King. And I'll see you guys in my next commentary.